But insofar as the Constitution is concerned, the fifth compromise was huge. Like I said, we didn't have an executive before, so they made this stuff out of whole cloth to try to balance the interest to make sure that state sovereignty was still preserved, so the smaller states still had a say in things. It prevented what they called the tyranny of a majority, but it still recognized that a popular vote still, meant something, and therefore the electors from each individual state, if that state carried a certain weight and what the vote tally was, it was a balance. And it's interesting because there was a time I was reading in one of my old history books that when the Democrats would win, or at least there was one Whig party, whatever, there was some concern about getting rid of the Electoral College. But when the tables turned and it was the Republicans winning, or the Whig, whatever, I forget the party. I think it was a Republican at the time. It was like 1880s and whatever. Now the Democrats wanted it gone. So it a lot of it for both parties had been, when they've argued against it, it's when they're crying over spilled milk.
Right.
But generally speaking, the Electoral College has the wisdom of it, at least from my perspective, and I think I share the same perspective with Lou, the wisdom of it has carried the day for 2 centuries plus. So,
hence why we have a democratic republic.
bingo. If you can keep it.
Yeah. That was good.
But, all of this is to say, again, appreciate the Constitution, how it came about. Appreciate the founding fathers working through the summer of 1787 in what must have been really uncomfortable quarters because there's no air conditioning, and Philadelphia gets a little humid in the summertime. And, these gentlemen were wearing wool coats and this and that. They had some I'm sure it was not a pleasant experience, but they all pledged to do something greater than themselves for the betterment of the country to be and the progeny of that country going forward. And again, I'm going to beat this dead horse over and over again. That's why you need to have pride in your country. You're an American, you're an American citizen. And enjoy the fact that these founding fathers came together to think of not of themselves necessarily, but how do we make this better? And building into, or as I like to say, baking into the bread, how can we make sure that it can be changed over time when it needs to be changed? And they did it.
Right.
And by the way, anyone from Rhode Island, you can go suck it because
yeah, you didn't take part.
Because the interesting fact, all the colonies sent delegates to the Constitutional Convention except Rhode Island because they did not believe in a strong federal government. They didn't want to participate in it. Sorry.
And now look at
no offense to the people of Rhode Island, but I had to say that.
But no, and that again, that all speaks to the reason why we started this is to, as Rob said, to instill the the belief in our country, the pride in our country, and also to recognize that this was not an easy formation. There was a lot of consternation. There was a lot of work to build the country that we have so that we can at least continue to improve upon it. That's what it's all about. Recognizing our past, recognizing what went into building that past, and looking forward to see how we can improve on it moving forward.